Hey, 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 welcome guys. My name is Ocean Phoenix and welcome to Blvck Roses. So happy to be here with you guys. It's been a while since I've done a live video. Once again, my name is Ocean Phoenix. I'm one of the founders of Mastermind Connect. I'm also the founder of the self-development platform, the Rebel Camp. And we're going to get into what Mastermind Connect is all about in a few. But first, let's touch on a little bit what the Blvck Roses concept. So we started this new interactive live conversation with men and women from all backgrounds discussing where they discovered their understanding of love, sex, and romance. And you know, we all love to talk about love, sex, and romance. And we're very excited to be here with you guys. I think it was probably April since the last time that we've done a Blvck Roses, and it was met with a lot of fanfare. Now, Mastermind Connect. What is Mastermind Connect all about? We are one of the premier men's group in this country, in the world. We empower progressive men of color to realize that they need deep connections, that they need to connect with their passions, that they need to connect to their higher self and community. So I want to give it up one time for the Mastermind Connect members. Yeah. I just downloaded that so y'all can thank me later. So tonight's discussion is love and mental health. The conversation of mental health is exploding, definitely since the pandemic has started, but many relationships have faced struggles. The divorce rate is through the roof. The numbers are changing every day. And even domestic violence, things like domestic violence cases have been on the rise and increase. We've been quarantined down for a year, and we are just starting to get back to some level of normalcy since the vaccine has been introduced and some of the CDC new guidelines have been introduced. The conversation around mental health and love has been something that has not been widely discussed. So it's one thing to show up for yourself, but it's another to be there for a partner. So whose responsibility is it? How can we get the proper help that we need? How do we maintain our individuality? So these are a few questions that we'll be exploring in this episode tonight. But what I've been able to do is assemble a really, really dope array of group of people. When we choose these panelists, they are people that we respect. We have a lot of respect for. Some of them are in our network and they do healing work. They do work in the space of mental health. And we're just really excited for our panel tonight. First, I want to give a shout out to Manny Almonte, JD Weatherspoon, Marlon Briscoe, Vernon Jones, all of the original founders of Mastermind Connect. You know how we do it. So the first guest that I want to bring on is somebody that I've been watching for a while. This woman is powerful. She is dope. She is Nadia Atkinson Maldonado, aka the Queen Goddess, and I'm gonna let her come on in here quick. Look at that smile. She's ready to go. She's ready to go.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on your show tonight. What's going on? How are you?
Absolutely. What's up, Nadia? So really quickly, I live by the 5 B's. Be brief, brother. Be brief. I know you're a sister, but we live by the 5 B's. We want you to do a little bit introduction. Let us know who you are and where you represent.
So, hey everyone, I'm Queen Goddess Hope. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Queen Goddess Hope. I am a proud owner of a company called BU Times 2. BU Times 2 is a place where you can go to obtain things so that you can actually heal your childhood trauma, whether if it is something that you suppressed over the years or whatever the case may have been. You know, we have a one-stop shop at freeasfuckuniversity.com where you can go heal yourself. I pride myself on being practical and stylish, but yet down to earth. And I just really like to have fun on Instagram. I'm very frank. I'm definitely a healer, and I'm here to just walk in my path.
Hey, let's give it up for Nadia, aka Queen Goddess. Yes. All right. So I'm so excited. This is like the first thing we've ever done together.
Yeah.
I follow your page. You're very inspirational. So thank you for being here.
Thank
Next to the stage. No, absolutely. Welcome. So next to the stage, we have somebody that I have a great deal of respect for. She has held me down for the last 12 months, and one of my dear friends. This is Andrea Mancuso.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
You know, I
Very
got
excited.
you were like the big sister I never had. Now I have, and we're so happy
Yeah.
for you to be here. You've been doing a lot of work in the healing space, getting people to be a little bit more intentional. And let's talk about that intentional and wellness thing. Who's Andrea Mancuso?
Yeah, thank you. So I am the founder, CEO of Intentional Healing and Wellness, which is a coaching business, small group coaching, individual coaching, and corporate offerings, really designed to have people shift from living the life that happens to them to designing the life they dream of living. And so my background is therapeutic interventions. I got my master's in 2007, and I've been a school psychologist for 14 years. So mental health advocate all around, super excited to be in this particular conversation and grateful for the invitation to join you all.
Hey, let's go. You know, we've done a few lives together, so guys, stick around.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn a lot tonight. And next up, this is my boy. Probably known this guy for a decade. My boy Juan Yanez, and he is a Mastermind Connect member as well. So Juan, come on in, my brother.
What's up, everybody? I will keep it very brief. I'm a Mastermind Connect member, of course, a very close friend of Mike, but I think most importantly, a holistic and mental health advocate. I'm nowhere near as experienced as these amazing women here, but I have my own experiences with therapy, plant medicines, breath work, meditation. I'm hoping to be able to provide some insights to the group.
Yes, absolutely. So, guys, we're going to jump right into it. You know, I think we're 13 months into what was probably one of the most memorable world events in recent history. You know, the COVID-19, the pandemic. Let's just call it the pandemic, as the woke people say, the pandemic, right? But we ain't going to get into that right now. You know, this whole conversation of love and mental health. It's something that I don't see discussed enough. But I think in the last 12 to 13 months, we've had to take a step back and just look at the numbers. The divorce rates are through the roof. Domestic violence has been a thing. People have been stuck in a house together for almost 12, 13 months. And if you had issues before, they really came out during this pandemic. So, Andrea, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to start off with you.
Okay.
So how does one successfully integrate self-love and love for a partner in relationship? Like how do you achieve that balance?
So first and foremost, I would say that self-love is where it's at, where it all begins. And I think that that's the most important piece to the puzzle for multiple reasons and multiple, conversations we could spin off with. But I think that if we are pouring into ourselves responsibly, then we are able to step into relationship and be in partnership in a very responsible, empowered way. So I would say first and foremost, it does begin with self. And from a holistic standpoint, pouring into self on purpose, consistently, with awareness, mind, body, and soul, regularly. And, I hold self-care as a tripod. So I want to have you envision a tripod has 3 legs. And if you are only nourishing 2 of the legs, mind and body, the tripod is going to tip over. So when we are in this conversation of, self-care in a balanced approach, I think it's so important to really purposefully nourish each leg of the tripod so that, you're in balance. And then being in partnership occurs in a different way.
I love that tripod thingy that you just mentioned. That's actually pretty amazing because, if one is neglected, the tripod falls, right?
Absolutely.
So, this idea of achieving balance, it's a great idea, but let's keep it fucking real. This shit is hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got goals out. We got personal goals. We got relationship goals. We got career goals. And I follow Nadia. Nadia, I follow you. And I feel funny calling you Nadia because I know your Instagram name. So I'll just say Queen. The same question to you, really just finding that balance with self-love and relationship. Have you had any experience with that? Do you have any opinions on that matter?
Yeah, especially because I pride myself on being like a self-love like guru at this point, because I had to find myself through self-love. Back in 2017, I had reached my aggregate loan limits and my world was surrounded by education. So when that was taken from me, I felt like I had nothing left. I didn't know how to function. I didn't know what to do next. And the only thing that I could do was love myself. And it was important for me to have a vision board as well, because it allowed me to focus on what I wanted best for myself, whether if I've been eating better or working out more, or really just trying to find things that I love to do. And being in a relationship during that time, it was a little difficult to kind of get your partner on board with that conversation, because we already are going our two separate ways. We're already doing our own thing. But what happened was, like this gentleman was open to the idea of me loving myself because it was encouraged to love myself. Like, I love myself. Why shouldn't you love yourself? You know what I mean? I want to see your skin glow. I want to see you vibrant from within. And that reflects outwardly. So, I respected that, to have someone that you cared for and love to be on board with that, because it could go a completely different way. You can have a completely different experience. So even to this day, like if I feel like I need an extra 5 minutes in the bed, in the shower, cooking, whatever the vibes, I'm going to pay attention to that inkling and within, because how else am I going to survive in this earth? Like, it's nuts here. It's ghetto.
Very ghetto. Yeah, the Earth is ghetto. I'm very interested in Mars. I'm going to go on Airbnb after this and see what's popping. No, I love that. No, but in all seriousness, I love that your partner at the time was receptive to that, because that's one of the main issues. When you start saying self-love and start treating yourself better, and you don't have a partner that's equally gelled and understands that this is going to make everything better. Me making myself better is going to make everything better. This relationship better is key. My boy Juan, I want to switch it up a little. As a dude on this panel, I've watched you enter into self-love when like self-love wasn't really a thing that men did. And what was your journey? And I want to switch it up a little bit for you. What was your journey to self-love and discovering that, for yourself? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I had a plane going by when somebody was talking. So to be 100% real, it came down to a moment where you have to ask yourself these hard questions, right? I think in any relationship that you have, regardless if it's business, personal, romantic, you have to have hard conversations. And I had a hard conversation with myself. That's where it came down to. I was at a point in my life where I was very frustrated, didn't understand what I was doing wrong, essentially, because I felt like I was doing the right things to get to where my goals were. But for some reason, I was falling short. And I had to have a legit conversation with myself, very, very similar to a conversation you would have with a loved one when you got to check them, like man in the mirror type of moment. And that was sort of the moment where I realized that if I wanted to get these outcomes that were unattainable at the time, I was going to have to do things that I wasn't used to doing. I was going to have to take responsibility for things that I knew were probably detrimental to my health, whether it's spiritual, physical, mental, financial. I was going to have to take those responsibilities and do the things that I kind of already knew I had to do, but I had to force myself to do it. I just got to a point where I was just like, look, this isn't working. So what can I do to make it work? And through that journey, and we've had these conversations, this is years ago, through that journey, it kind of led me on this path where it was, self-discovery. I did some shadow work, which is always fun. And by having those experiences, it allowed me to understand myself, my relationships within, work, friends, romance. And through those experiences, I was able to not only discover myself, but also accept myself, and therefore able to love myself. So a lot to get to that point, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
And I love that. And I've been a witness of your progress, and I'm very, very, very proud of you, man.
Proud of you too, man.
It's difficult for men, it has been difficult for men it's being normalized now to be vulnerable, right? We usually assume this character that the world wants us to be, right? You got to be strong, you got to be this, you got to be successful, blah, 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 when it comes to being vulnerable and expressing your feelings, because we're all going to experience some sort of trauma in our lives. And if you don't release that trauma, it becomes something else. And it can be, and I'm going to throw out the buzzword. This word has probably been used more times in the last 13 months than any goddamn word in the motherfucking world. Toxic. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Andrew, I see you smiling over there. Nadia, I see you smiling. All right. So, we've all, perhaps we've all been in situations that have been toxic for us. Either we were the toxic person or we were with a toxic person. We were both goddamn toxic. I want to hear your opinion about what is a healthy relationship look like in 2021 with everything that has happened right now. What does a healthy relationship look like to you? And for people that are watching, if you have comments, please, about a healthy relationship in 2021, please share those and we'll read those after the broadcast.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, whoever wants to jump in there. Whoever wants to jump in.
For me, what comes to mind, a healthy relationship in 2021 is a relationship where communication is open and ongoing. Difficult, courageous conversations, vulnerability, passion, trust, loyalty, outrageousness, spontaneity, a willingness to go the extra mile. What else? Just joyful, compassion, really supportive, encouraging each other to grow and, keep going, keep growing and traveling down that road together. So when I think about 2021 and my ideal relationship, those are some of the things that come to mind.
I love it. And I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce that name that just came up. It says 2020 has been tumultuous, but a good time for reflection and growth too. Hoping healing follows in 2021. So, and Tyrone Mejia says it's the lemon water for me. So, Nadia, I thought that was whiskey for a second. I was about to say this the wrong broadcast to be doing that shit. All right, maybe after. But Andrea, just not to dismiss what you just said, but I think it's very smart for us to, and this is a thing that I did when I got out of my relationship of 8 years, was write down everything that I want. And one of the words that you said was, spontaneity, just not feeling ashamed for asking for what you want, like what you really want. We have to be honest about what we really want. You want somebody attractive, you want somebody with intelligence, just write that list down. And I remember writing that list down and me blowing my own mind because I was like, oh, damn, I didn't even know I wanted these things. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I want to extend the same question to Juan. What does a healthy relationship look like in 2021 after all the shit that we've been through?
I mean, I completely agree with the first answer. But I think also for 2021, it just gave us a different set of, rules, protocols, whatever you want to call them. So I think compromise and also like support, right? It's like we've all had to compromise. Like I don't have any children, but I have no idea how anyone is raising a family and running a business or running a department or both. Like that to me is insanity.
Yeah.
And it's such a the pandemic just threw us all for a loop, right? So there's benefits and things I don't like about working from home, but having the home become a hub where it is your everything, it changes the dynamic of your relationship because now you have to do things that you weren't necessarily accustomed to doing. Maybe you had a babysitter, or maybe, like a lot of time the office is your workspace. So you get into work mode, and then you have home, we are home mode, and now it's one place. So having a partner, being able to have conversations like, yo, you need a break, like go to the gym or we'll go outside and go to the supermarket and you can have these 2 hours to yourself. Like being able to compromise and work together, through a new set of challenges, I think is one of the more important things for, well, in this last year for sure.
Yeah, that big adjustment. I mean, it was literally an overnight adjustment. As far as, you know, sharing space, right? Because like we really weren't going outside a lot. You know, we were confined to our space to work, be creative, take care of the kids, eat, drink, sleep, fuck, whatever your thing is. Like, you did it in that one place. And as humans, we weren't meant to just stay in indoors all the time. So I appreciate that. And there's a couple things that you hit there that stuck out to me, and I'm going to revisit those. Nadia, same question. As far as what does a healthy relationship look like to you in 2021?
I definitely prefer that everyone has gone through some type of spiritual awakening, or if they've done their shadow work or not, you know, just really people being in tune with themselves spiritually. Because as Juan mentioned, you know, sharing spaces or just going into someone's space where a lot of people are anxiety driven, really don't have a hold on their emotional needs right now. You know, it is really very triggering, you know, to say the least, especially now that we are a year in, you know, people are becoming restless. So it's important to have that, you know, internal peace, and just knowing that you are able to withstand some struggles, you know, persevere, push through, communicate as much as possible. I really am like super open with the way I communicate. Like, I have no problems expressing myself. And, you know, I want to make sure that my partner is also comfortable with that. And just because I claim this lifestyle being free as fuck, it's really important for me to go into my next relationship with that same mindset, but also understanding how to compromise on each end, because I am a free spirit. I love to come and go, but I'm also a homebody. I am introverted. So, you know, just having that balance. Don't make that face.
No, we're going somewhere else. I'm like, you're the most social person I see. Okay.
But yeah, I'm very introverted. Like, I prefer to be home. So that transition into COVID was very easy for me, you know, but that's really what I really look forward to in 2021. Just the maintaining like that healing, those open conversations, and really just knowing like we have each other's back, because support is the most important.
I want to give it up for y'all real quick. You know, I'm going crazy with this app right now, son. I'm just doing this in regular conversation. Making air horn is a must. Now, I love these answers, and I want to throw something in, because now I just feel really fucking smart. I just came up with something I'm about to hit my way. What if, when you're in a relationship, you do mental health check-ins every week?
I think it's a go.
I think it's great.
I think it's beautiful. I think because people are constantly changing. No one's going to stay the same from the day that you met them, married them, whatever the case may be. So you're going to constantly be evolving. So if at the end of this week I decide I don't want to work at that job no more, but you're going to try to make me work there come Monday,
right.
That's a conversation we gotta have.
Yeah. Instead of like just, you know, blurting it out like, I'm not gonna hate this job, right? You know, just with it, right? Maybe like, you know, every Friday we have dinner, we sit down, we do a mental health check-in, and we you know, maybe put a little something in there, whatever your choices are. You know, in life, you're a grown-ass person, and we just do a mental health check-in, and we hold space just to talk about the things that are agitating us. I'm gonna hold that for my next relationship, and you guys can thank me later. God damn, I'm smart. With that said, guys, I want to take a turn here. And Nadia, this is right up your alley.
Okay.
A lot of people, including myself, have come into their spiritual journey. I mean, I changed my whole fucking name. People thought I was losing my mind. I said I didn't lose my mind. I found my mind, right? Like, I found my mind. Now, the spiritual journey and being in a relationship, I see that it often requires some sort of isolation so you can tap in deeper with yourself. Have you ever been in a relationship where one person, or maybe you, was on their spiritual journey and then that caused some sort of friction? I would love to hear. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But I would love to hear from anybody in this situation. Have you had conflict maybe for being on your spiritual journey?
I can definitely say for me, in the midst of going through my spiritual awakening back in 2017 through 2019, I'm still awakening, but neither here nor there. But that conversation in those instances where I just wanted to be secluded away from people, we could have a house full of people, and I just wanted to be in the room by myself, like, and no one would understand. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? And it was because I needed that for my soul, you know, and a lot of people are never going to understand that. But sometimes you feel like you could be vibrant. Other times you just really need to journal and really get your emotions out and really talk to your friend by yourself, you know, in a quiet space. Yeah, there is a room full of people, but I was diagnosed with anxiety, you know, disorder at one point, and too many people was just too much for me. You know what I mean? So you really have to know how to handle those types of situations. Yes, it's important to compromise, but they just got to understand that's really how I feel, because I cannot operate and be my best self if I'm constantly catering to somebody else.
Right. It's such an individual experience too. And most people will see it as selfish. But, you know, once you know, you can't unknow. And it's very difficult to be like, okay, I'm going to rewind and just go back in time and be who I was. That awakening is real, and you can be on that path for the rest of your life, or 2 years, or a week. It does, you know, it varies. But Andrea, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it looked very different. For me, it was very much about recognizing that for a long time I was picking partners out of like my limited beliefs about myself. And so I was picking partners based on feeling I'm not worthy, you know, and I was choosing partners based on feeling that I'm not good enough. And so when I found myself in, you know, the trenches of a very difficult breakup and a traumatic experience, I opted to go on the journey and step out of relationship for almost a decade, actually. And, you know, I first chose that path purely out of pain. You know, I didn't believe that I had it in me to endure heartbreak, you know, and so for me, it was very much about protecting myself. And, you know, I was really good I built a fortress like nobody's business.
Right.
And, you know, and in doing that, yes, it kept people out. It protected myself, but I kept people out. And so on my journey, it was a lonely journey, you know, for a significant amount of time, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Where I am in this moment, I realized that I needed to go through all that I went through, and I really don't know how I would have done that in a relationship, you know, because I think that at that particular point, I was pouring into myself so much and really peeling back layers of trauma and pain and hurt that it wouldn't be responsible to actually commit to anyone at that particular point. So I just thought of, you know, how my journey looked very different because of opting out for a long time.
That's very honest of you. You know, it is a journey, and sometimes a journey that you have to travel alone, you know, to find one's true self and purpose, and you know what it is that you want out of this life, and not just always being attached to somebody. Because when you're attached to somebody without truly knowing yourself, it's like you become that person, you know, and you don't have your individuality and a voice. So kudos to you. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing that. Juan, I don't know if you wanted to add anything. If not, we can surely keep it moving.
I mean, for me, I when I went through my spiritual journey, I made it a point to be away from any romantic involvement whatsoever. So mine was, I can relate to you know, I can relate to having that experience where you're like, I need to get away and I need to be by myself. And like I said, it was just very, very honest kind of talking with myself, of myself, about myself to get to that level. And I don't know if I would have been able to achieve the goals I was able to achieve had I been with a partner. I think for me personally, I don't know if that's possible, but I think that, you know, to each his own. Everybody's journey is individual, and as long as you come out better on the other side, then nothing else really matters.
So, I want to talk a little bit about the current state of affairs. I keep hearing this. Divorce rates are through the roof. Divorce rates are through the roof. I did a little research. There was like a lot of conflicting numbers, but they were all high. Either way, they were all high. It's something like 50% of people who get married will wind up in divorce. And those numbers are pretty alarming, right? We're dealing with the human spirit. This is not, we're not robots. We're humans. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have needs. And the pandemic, I have never seen this many people. I'm 42 years old. I have never seen this many people get divorced in 1 year. Couples that I thought were happy, you see the images online and we all kind of feed into that. And we're like, couple goals, hashtag. And then it's like, hey, you guys are not following each other anymore on Facebook? Oh, that's odd. What would you say to, I guess, marriage, and how do you guys feel about marriage right now? Like what, in your eyes, you guys are looking to get married. I don't know if you're looking to get married. I've been married before. What makes a successful marriage, in your opinion, in these times? Because we're talking present. We're not talking past anymore. Shit's changed. What does like a good, maybe you saw your parents or you saw your aunts or your uncles. What, in your opinion, makes a successful marriage?
So I would say, I could jump in. I would say when I think about a successful marriage, I think about, a very clear agreement with two people who want the same things, and steadily communicate to each other what is important and, make sacrifices to align with the bigger picture commitment. And life is life, right? So I think that when you think about a successful marriage, sometimes there's a vision for some that may be hearts and butterflies and roses and everything's just wonderful.
The honeymoon.
And that's the honeymoon. And then life happens and, pandemics happen. And what changes, for, I believe, is potentially the agreement, and I think with the pandemic particularly, we are conditioned as a people to have lots of distractions and things in place, things that we don't choose them to be distractions, but we are busy people. And we have lots of different things in place. And when suddenly a lot of those things were taken away, we're not distracted anymore by all these different things. And so I think that for people who started to really see, wait a minute, I don't have all the things that I used to have. And now I'm actually here in this relationship. Is this for me?
For life.
Yeah, like people. And the other thing, I think that breakups get a bad rap because I think that, the truth is, we are so complex and we're traveling down these roads and really navigating life, and we grow and we change and we up level. And sometimes when you're on a path with somebody, the path starts to move like this, and they're not wrong. You're not better. They're not doing anything different. It's just literally paths grow apart. And I think that for that reason, endings get a bad rep. And instead of honoring what was a special journey for while it lasted, we're a society that puts so much pressure or like so much power on, oh, it's over, it's a failure. But what about, let's just say, I'm going to throw a random number out there. What about the 4-year beautiful relationship that was everything while it was everything?
Yeah.
You don't really hear people honor that all the time. What we hear is, oh, it's over. And it's like, yeah, because it's over because I'm now this, I'm evolving and I'm growing. And maybe we're not meant to have one person in our life from start to finish. Maybe we're meant to navigate down different roads, experiencing different people because we grow in relationship. And so being in partnership with different people allows us to experience ourselves differently. So yeah, I think endings get a bad rep.
Wow. I really feel like you hit all the points across the board. And I have another question that popped up, not to cut anybody's wisdom, but I really want to get this out as far as dealing with a partner that has mental health issues. We've all had, I mean, I can tell from what I know from everybody, because I know all of you personally have dealt with bouts of anxiety, whether that's about your career, about love, but dealing with a partner that has mental health issues. Would you guys have any advice or experience? I've realized that, I've had to hold space for partners that have gone through that, right? And it's very difficult not to judge that person because you're romantically linked with them. So your emotions are caught up. You want that person to be better. You want that person to do better, but that's their journey and their choice. There's a choice that has to be made. So any advice on dealing with partners who are going through depression or anxiety or, more even serious mental health issues? And Nadia, I'll throw it to you. I'll start calling people out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely happened to me, and in that time, I felt like I was the closest to my friends and family, because sometimes you do feel alone, but it's nice to feel assured that you have those relationships that you can fall back on in the need of having that need for them. Just like me personally, like I said, 2019, I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, PTSD, and severe depression. And I felt like it was triggered from my line of work in shipping and logistics, and just being in the office for like 50 plus hours per week and just being responsible for so much, and then going home and still having to try to work on my business and my brand. It was really difficult for me to balance both. And it really just drove me up a wall, to the point where I just was like, I don't even want to go into the building. Like, the building alone drives me crazy. Like, how do I handle this? And no one would really understand that. So the best thing that I decided to do was to go see a therapist, and just sitting there. And once she gave me that diagnosis, I was like, okay, so they gotta go, because I don't know myself for being depressed or having anxiety or having these issues. So if the common denominator is the job has to go. I have a purpose and a will in this building, meaning the earth, but like, I have a purpose, and my job cannot win when I know that I'm meant to free people, to heal people, to love people, because that's what I want to do personally. And just having my family and my friends realize that I had a mental illness at that point, and I wanted to do things to get me back to my old self. I decided to date myself 3 times a month, whether if it was by myself 2 times a month and one day, with my girls. I committed to that for an entire year. And I did that every single month, whatever I want to do, because my partner was like, no, I'm not going to go to a vegan cooking class. I'm not even vegan. Like, we're not doing that. You go do that with your girls. I'm like, fine, I'm going to do it by myself. So that's what I did, So it was just things like that. And I really am a really big advocate for a vision board. Like, I have one right here that I painted. And it's like, I'm so committed to just loving myself and really like engulfing in that energy, because I refuse to go back to that person, with those peeled layers, and really now understanding where it stemmed from. I often blog about it, how I lost like 7 or 8 years of my life, as a child, but I didn't know why. I couldn't remember those situations. And in realizing it came from a death in the family, I lost my primary caretaker, my grandmother. So now that triggered like 4 lost years of my life. You know what I mean? So now you kind of always have to go back and do the work. And that's where the shadow work is really important. And that's why really journaling and really just going to therapy and doing all of these things helps. Can I say that I'm healed? Absolutely. And I stand firm in that, because I believe that, because now I know what to do to not get there ever again.
I love that. I love that. And Juan, I want to go in a little bit different direction for you, because we have men watching. Obviously, we have a men's group. She brought up some really good points about loving yourself first, and I have an extremely difficult time getting my brothers, man, to love themselves first. I mean, it's difficult, man. And I don't think men are used to that, because a lot of what we consider loving yourself first is rooted in external validation, materialism. And look at me, I'm such and such with this title. Ways of loving yourself as a man, like ways to like treat yourself better and self-love. You're the king at that, man. I see you on vacation every now and then. Like, you treat yourself good.
You gotta live, right? Everybody goes on vacation, man.
Yeah, I mean, but you gleaming, my brother. You're shining right now. Share some of that information.
I mean, self-love comes in multiple forms. I think there's times where you have to hold yourself accountable and be disciplined. So that's a form. I mean, discipline is definitely a form of self-love. Because if you think about it, right, like, say you're an aspirational person, you're an ambitious person, and you tell people about your goals and dreams. Like, being lazy about that's gonna not only crater your relationships, right? People are not gonna believe in you, but it's also you're not in alignment with yourself, right? You're talking a good game, but you're not actually playing it. So that's certainly part of self-love. And then there's other nights, there's nights where you got to do things like you got to date yourself, like, you want to do a bubble bath, or you're like, what? I've always wanted to go skydiving. So go skydiving, right? That's the thing that you want to do. You have to do that, but it's a give and a take, right? There's things where you got to go and you got to spoil yourself. And then there's times where you got to call out your own bullshit. That's what you would do for anybody else you love. You should do it for yourself.
Word. I love that. And we've been hearing a lot. I've been promoting this, and it's something that changed my life is therapy. But when you are in a union with somebody, there's obviously couples therapy is an option. I've been to couples therapy one time, and it was really helpful because there was that person there that was sort of that equal individual. They didn't lean too far to my side. They didn't lean too far to my ex's side. And after each session, I really felt neutral, even in my own emotions and feelings. And I was able to take accountability for my end of it or whatever I did. So I know, Andrea, you have a lot of experience with therapy. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of therapy for the individual and couples who are working on wanting to stay together?
Yeah, I think that in order to get into the conversation of therapy, it's first important to have the conversation about shame. And I think that shame is something that often stands between people and therapy for lots of different reasons. It could be cultural, it could be societal, it could be family, it could be friends, whatever it is. I think that shame is often a barrier. And so I think that before we start to responsibly discuss therapy, it's important to shine the light on shame, to really do an inventory about where is it coming up, where is it potentially preventing us from living the life that we dream of living. What thoughts and feelings do we have about therapy or about seeking out support in that particular way? Because there's a lot of different things. Like, there's a stigma. We've come very far in the conversation about mental health, but there is a very real stigma that still exists. And it's coming up recently because I'm seeing it more and more. I launched on May 1st the I Am Not My Diagnosis campaign. So it's something that landed on my heart. And I really found that people who struggle from a physical diagnosis or a mental diagnosis of any sort experience a lot of shame and go through a lot of there's suffering that happens in silence. And so I think that in this conversation of therapy, it's important to look at, well, what are your beliefs of therapy? What do you feel? Are you okay with it? And really check in. Do you feel that you're weak? Right? Because, in the conversation of men too, there's a lot of pressure put on men about having it all together, man up. It's an unreasonable expectation to place on men. So when men that are in conversations of therapy, oftentimes the underlying conversation is man up, handle it. And so I think that before we talk about mental health, it's important to check into shame and see, is it preventing you from potentially getting into therapy? But yeah, I think that therapy is profound. I think that it's powerful to have a space that you can go and dump out your stuff and then travel through the world lighter, and for couples, if there are some things arising, it is helpful to have a neutral person who could support the conversation and can support the flow of expressing, where each other is and where do you want to go. So I'm a huge advocate all day, every day. If anybody comes to me, the recommendation is going to be, that's not the answer, but it's an excellent support to have plugged into place.
I love that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to open this up to Q&A. So if you guys have questions, please drop them in the comment section and we'll get to it. So we have our first question from Rasha Amante. Since the start of your day is said to be essential. Yeah, somebody's in New York. Since the start of your day is said to be essential to wellness and to Juan's point, discipline, how do you start each day? Can we put the question back up? We can read it. Yeah. How do you start each day? I think I would love to jump in here. So I have a morning routine. This is a part of my 8-week program in the Rebel Camp. I have a morning routine for myself, and I've never focused on self-care before. I was a father at 23 years old. So I didn't understand self-care at all. Like self-care, I didn't understand until my 40s. I'm 42 now. And the way that I start my morning off is gratitude. That's first and foremost. I started off with gratitude, just thanking God that I'm able to use all my fingers, my toes. I can breathe, and then I do a shower meditation and prayer, which really helps me balance myself and prepare me for the day. And then I go on to eating well, right? So really starting the day on a high vibration to ensure that the rest of my day, no matter what happens, I've had some sort of positivity during that time. So I felt personally connected to that question. So thank you, Rasha. I don't know if anybody self love guru Nadia Atkinson.
I actually start my day. I wake up to and go to sleep to solfeggio frequencies. So I'm kind of always like in a Zen state when I wake up. I sleep really well through the night because of that. I'm almost certain. It's basically like a form of classical music for those who aren't familiar. And I get on my yoga mat. Like as soon as I wake up, I just want to stretch. I want to get the kinks out of my body. I'm thankful. I pray there, and I always drink hot water and lemon before I leave the house. Like it's really important for me to kind of cleanse my body from whatever was ingested the day before. It's just my form of like meditation. I intermittent fast daily, so I don't start eating until about 12 or 1 o'clock. And, I just really am conscious of going through my day, in peace. I'm really like a lighthearted person. I really don't like drama. So it's really important for me to kind of go through with no problems. And I feel like having a routine definitely helps that.
Love that. And we have a question by Baba Tunde. We can put that question. Is that question too long? Okay, there it is. Okay. Baba Tunde says, I hear a lot about people seeking to complete their selves before they get into a relationship, thinking then they'll find or manifest the ideal mate. How do you relate to the more common experience that relationship is compromise and we are forever works in progress? There is no completing your spiritual journey. Somebody got to jump in and take that one.
I'll jump into that. I think that, I think there's totally spot on. And having made the decision to opt out for so long based on what I shared, thinking that I needed to like fix so many different things before getting into a relationship. So on the other side of that, close to a decade of stepping out, that was more than 10 years ago that I started to get back into the mix. But I think that, it's not about an arrival. I think that, I often say, be love. And so if you look up the word be, it in some, the good old internet, you could find lots of different definitions. But in the one that I like the most, it says occur as. And so I love this idea of be love, because when we are occurring as love, it's not about finding it anywhere. We're literally bringing it with us. And I don't think it's about waiting. I think that, like we said earlier too, relationship is very much about learning about yourself. And so you can certainly go on a journey with someone. And is there a full arrival? Like, this is the other question that I often pose, you know, healing, is it a final destination or a lifelong journey? And I believe it's a lifelong journey. And so to wait, like to literally wait before we do whatever it is that we're going to do, life can pass by. So I think it's really about releasing the weight, jumping in right where you are, you know, putting your best foot forward, taking care of self. And I think that, you know, in this conversation of self-love and self-care too, I think there's this idea of like, oh, I have to be in the spa, you know, getting like my face steamed in order to be taking care of myself, right? And for me, you know, self-care is also about saying no, period.
It's a complete
You know,
sentence.
because saying no to someone else is actually saying yes to myself, you know, at times. And I think that we don't really see
You deserve
the button is coming.
it.
I had a feeling the button was coming.
Wait, say that one more time. Say that, Andrea. No. You're not just gonna
Yeah.
keep going. Say that one more time. That's the quote of the show.
A no to someone else is a yes to ourselves, you know, and for me, like, I think it's important that we have more conversations too about self-care, self-love, because I do believe that people think, you know, you have to be getting a manicure or a pedicure, getting your hair dyed, like that's self-care. And it's like, no, actually getting clear on what your boundaries are and then flexing the boundary muscle. So when somebody violates it, you can actually say, this doesn't work for me. That's self-care, you know, choosing to start your morning off in a peaceful fashion, you know, hot water with lemon. That's self-care. We don't need to be in the spa or on the beach or doing this whole thing to experience self-love, you know, and literally, I think one of the most powerful forms is for the people pleasers out there. No, and not with an explanation, like period, like, because it works, this works better for me. So yeah, I think that all of this is great, period.
PPP, the people pleasing program.
Yeah, listen, it's real.
You know, me and Juan, we come from the hospitality industries. I actually met Juan while I was in the hospitality industry, and I bonded with him so much because when I met him, he had like 20 girls around him. Like, we were all in nightlife, and we were just helping everybody, pouring everybody drinks. Here, are you good? Oh, let me go to the front, get that person in. And Juan, I've watched you go from that, and you've watched me go from that to like, yo, I gotta start doing me. But back to homie's question, right? In that, and I just want to go back to the last part of it. There is no completing your spiritual journey, right? So I've watched you go from the people pleasing program to starting your spiritual journey, and you're still on your spiritual journey. So it's just been interesting to view, like, we're mirrors of each other to a degree. Like,
no, I mean, everyone's your mirror for sure. But I definitely would like to add to what Andrea said. I think that this concept of like waiting for the right moment is, I mean, it's asinine, because every moment can be the right moment. And, you know, by concentrating on yourself and being in alignment with yourself, you start to attract the things that you want. So when people say like, oh, I got to be this perfect thing to manifest this perfect thing, there is no perfect thing, right? It's just something that complements you, and it's fluid. Right? Like, oh, I love my girl, but her attitude checks me, right? And I need that, for example. I don't have that thing, but that's just an example. And then when you talk about manifestation, when you're in alignment with yourself, the things that you want, and you're doing the things that continue to give you self-love, you attract those things. And it's a situation where you're pulled towards something. Right? We all have various different relationships. Some of them are easier than others. Some of them require a little bit of a push. But then there's some, it's like you're up against this immovable object, and you're like, why am I doing this? Right? Some people say passion or whatever it is. But then there's other situations where it just flows, right? Like me and Mike, right? We met each other and we just clicked. We became friends, and it's like 15 years or something now, right? It just flows. And I understand that if I don't hear from you in 6 months, it's not the end of the world. Other people don't have those types of friendships, right? Because when you and I connect, it's like we were hanging out the weekend before. So I think when you're in alignment with yourself, with what you want, when you're doing the things that keep you at a high vibration, you attract the things that you're trying to manifest. So there is no perfect moment. There is no end of the journey. The frequency just changes. And if you keep it high, you'll get the things that, that's when you achieve abundance.
Brother. All right. You get finger snaps.
Yes. Shout out to that.
Really tired of air horn for now, but thank you. With the conversation of mental health, this is not a judgment, and I want to, for the people out there that feel broken or, feel like, oh, I got to get to this point and then I'll be able to experience love. Everybody deserves love. That's first and foremost. But the first form of love is self-love. And like Andrea said, you don't need to go to the spa or get a facial steam or whatever the hell it is and get all fancy. It can start today by making a decision to first say no to things, develop those guiding principles for yourselves, set boundaries. I think Nadia, spoke about just, enjoying your own company. These are things that are going to actually make you more attractive for yourself, right? Because if you don't enjoy being around yourself, how can you expect somebody else to want to commit to you and commit to a relationship? We had so many amazing gems today, and we're like we're winding down now. It's 7:57, and I want to be conscious of everybody's time. I know you guys are hard workers, but I want to give you guys time to plug anything that you want to plug and share your social media handles, and then we'll start wrapping this thing up because I want people to connect with you after this event is over. So we'll start with Nadia first, just because you're to my right.
Yes. Again, you can catch me on Instagram at Queen Goddess Hope, the way it's spelled out. You can also enroll in Free as Fuck University at freeasfuniversity.com, or you can catch me at bu2.com, which is my e-commerce store. And my only gem for the day is you have to know how to balance your mind in silence before you speak. So just be content, because sometimes we constantly have to have noise. I love, love, love music. And it gets to the point where it's like, I can't have a day without it, but that silence speaks volumes. So that's it.
Excellent. And Juan, my brother from another mother.
So on my social media handle on Instagram, jc.ynz. We could chop it up about anything. Digital marketer, advertiser by day or night, whatever needs to get done. And please feel free to reach out. We could talk about anything. I'm all for it. And the only thing, I think the last thought is sort of what's become my mantra lately, which is do what's in alignment with your spirit. Because a lot of times I think we're forced to do things, and there's sometimes we just got to do stuff that we don't want to do. But your gut and your soul, your spirit will tell you if something's not the move. Just tune into that, and I think that'll help alleviate a lot of headaches.
Excellent, my brother. Excellent. And
I forgot. I am plugging one thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm plugging one thing. Mastermindconnect.com. I've been a member since its inception. If you're a guy out there and you're looking for other progressive people to talk to, you want to explore topics like this, go on some cool camping trips and various other things, please go check out mastermindconnect.com.
Love it. Love it. And Miss Mancuso, please tell us where we can reach you and your new project that you have coming up.
Yeah, thank you. So I can be found Intentional Healing and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. Couple of things that I wanted to share. The I Am Not My Diagnosis campaign, first and foremost, I'm super excited and passionate about this. So you'll see posts on Facebook and Instagram really designed to spread compassion and empathy and have people recognize that we are not our diagnoses. And the more we're willing to speak about it, the more we can neutralize the experience of living with a physical illness or a mental illness, and really get comfortable actually seeing people for all that they are, putting aside what they're not, which is the diagnosis. And so I think now in 2021, more than ever, there's a call for this, there's a call to action around speaking your truth. So there's ways to get involved. You can customize a flyer and share about your personalized experience. What's your diagnosis? How has it impacted you? What have you learned about yourself? What would you offer to people, about intentional healing and wellness? What does it look like for you? You can take a selfie, write a sign, doesn't have to be fancy. I am not my diagnosis, tag intentional healing and wellness. Let us start to see all the beautiful faces that, are walking around, and we all have something going on, and to really normalize the experience of it. And there's also a support flyer floating around. I support the I'm Not My Diagnosis campaign. So the call to action is really get involved. There are people suffering right now, and suffering in silence and suffering alone. We know the pandemic has people isolated in ways that we've never seen. And so there's so much need for collective healing. And that starts with us individually. So therapy, I'm going to plug therapy. There are free resources that are available, so at this particular time, don't allow money or lack of to be the barrier. And you and I have an event, next Thursday, OSHIM is on a panel that I am hosting. It's called the V Spot. The V stands for vulnerability. And I will be spotlighting shame. I have a powerful panel, 2 gentlemen, OSHIM being one of them, 2 ladies. And we're really going to have a real vulnerable conversation about shame and what that looks like and how we can work to extinguish the experience. So that's next Thursday, May 13th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Tickets are on Eventbrite, the V Spot. You will find it all, Intentional Healing and Wellness. So thank you. I'm super grateful to be here with you all tonight.
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody for taking their time out tonight. This was amazing that we pulled this off. I know you guys are very busy, but I definitely would be remiss if I did not plug Mastermind Connect. Like I said, Mastermind Connect, one of the premier men's groups in the world. We've been around for a couple of years now, just doing really great work with men, but also with young men who are underserved from underserved communities. We actually have a program called Young Masterminds Initiative, which is a mentorship a series of mentorship programs that we have. And we also have Camping to Connect, where we take underserved youth overnight camping and hiking. And we bond through just a series of programs and internal events that we do on campsite. And it's a beautiful thing. If you want more information about the camping trip, it's at Camping to Connect. If you want more information about how to join the Mastermind Connect, we have our own app. We have a virtual community. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can go to mastermindconnect.com. Follow us on social media across all platforms at Mastermind Connect to learn more about our work. And also, I need to plug my platform. My platform is called the Rebel Camp. We are currently in the midst of a relaunch. We have a lot of amazing things happening. You can expect more programming all across the board as it pertains to self-development and lifestyle. So you can visit the Rebel Camp across all platforms, and you can follow me at OSHIM Phoenix. So I want to thank Manny Almonte he's on the back end producing, doing his thing, and all of the panelists. Once again, thank you guys. I want to give you your flowers right now. Continue the great work, and I look forward to working with you guys again in the future. So peace, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Peace
Thank
and
you.
light.
Good night. Thank you.